Anyway, I'm David Reiter, publisher and CEO of Interactive Publications, and I wanted to welcome you all to our historic 20th year anniversary. It was back in 1997 when IP first started its literary imprint, Interactive Press, and the logo that you see on the back of the books for Interactive Publications, Interactive Press, actually derives from the logo of the company that was set up 3 years before that, Interactive Publications, when I was doing consulting work for businesses and government. And I liked the logo so much I had to come up with a title for the literary press that would go along with the logo. So I came up with Interactive Press. And I got all these questions. We're back in 1997 now, right, pre-Facebook and all that, and people were saying, interactive, what's all that about? Is it, on CD or what? And I said, well, the idea is that the company is collaborative. So the idea would be that we would work very closely with our authors, not only in getting their work to its final state, in as excellent a state as possible, but also selling it. Because as you may know, the job of an independent publishing company is not an easy one. And it takes having everyone on board to assist in the success of any particular title. And so that's what happened. Over the years, we've had a number of people working very closely with me and the press. I certainly want to recognize Lauren Daniel, who has been with us. How long is it now, Lauren?
Oh, about 15 years.
Yeah, about 15 years. I knew it was at least a dozen in various capacities. But Lauren continues to be one of the great champions for Interactive Publications, Interactive Press, and in her Brisbane Writers Workshop, we're always corresponding about the possibility of collaborating between her and Interactive Publications. But again, the company has over the years had a number of people working closely with us. Sarah Moss, unfortunately couldn't be here today, was our poetry editor for a number of years. Anna Bartlett, our children's editor, as well for a number of years. And we're blessed with the fact that being located in a city with 3 universities, and those universities have creative writing programs, and more importantly, have the need for sending out their students to get work in the real world, and baby Interactive Publications is definitely the real world. So we have a number of interns who've been with us over the years, Josh Brockbank and Annabelle Paola, who's down here today, Winnie Wong, current interns, Imogen Slosh and Elizabeth Rosier, who were interns last semester. And quite simply, the work of the company couldn't have continued without the assistance of those dedicated and quite intelligent interns. All right, so this has been billed as a gala. And the way the gala works in the tradition of musical gala is the emphasis is on performance. So this is probably the longest speech you're going to hear during the course of the afternoon, because we have a lot of work to get through. And we are basically going to be dividing the afternoon into 2 sessions. The first is going to be launching the anthology for the 20th anniversary, which is called Just Off Message. So what I'm going to do is basically quickly introduce the people who are going to be reading from the anthology to help launch it, and they're just basically going to take it away in order. I'm going to introduce them first. To save time, they're just going to carry on. So our first reader is going to be Lauren Daniels, Senior Consulting Prose Editor with IP, and for more than a decade has nurtured many of our prose works for publication stage. Also director of the Brisbane Writers Workshop, she is a gifted author in her own right and has had her magical realism novel, Serpent's Wake, accepted for publication by IP in 2018. Our next reader will be Dr. Andrew Leggett, who is a Brisbane-based psychiatrist and author of 2 poetry titles, Old Time Religion and Dark Husk of Beauty, also back on the table there, the first of which was released by IP way back in 1998, while Dark Husk of Beauty was released in 2006. A glutton for academic punishment, Andrew recently completed his PhD in creative writing at Griffith University. Michael Sariban, another well-established Brisbane identity, was also one of the first authors published in our poetry series with Facing the Pacific back in 1999. IP went on to distribute a later work, Luxuries. Novelist and journalist Barry Levy has had a long association with IP. His 3 novels are As If, 2008, Shades of Exodus, 2011, and The Terrorist, 2012. Janet Reid taught for several years at Brisbane Girls Grammar School before taking up her interest in writing novels for older children. One of the first authors published under our IP Kids imprint, she published The Ruby Bottle, 2012, and Granny Rags, 2013, in rapid succession. And then David Reiter's interest in hybrid and interdisciplinary work has left its stamp on the IP brand. Among numerous awards he received for his work are his innovative My Planet's Reunion memoir, 2011, and Time Lord Dreaming, 2015, both of which won the Western Australian Premier's Award. He has nearly completed Black Books Publishing, a satiric novel inspired by the Black Books TV series, and loosely, emphasize loosely, based on his more than 45 years as a publishing professional. So I hope the authors can remember the order of things. I can prompt them from the back if they don't, but take it away, Lauren.
Thank you, David, and thank you all for coming out on this rainy day. I'll be reading from Maternal Lines, which is my essay that's in the anthology. When you move to Australia, people love to ask, what about those poisonous snakes? They also ask if you miss home. Other expats never ask that question, and if, in a quiet moment, you speak of your home countries, it feels like intimacy. When you emigrated, you changed something intrinsic about yourself. Even strangers know it, and some of them don't like it. You can't forget the time visiting your parents, when an old veteran growled, "So you're the one who took off for Australia." As if you'd stolen something, a friend of a friend, you didn't even know his name. No one asks how leaving grows you, how it deepens how you ache, or how you feel less afraid and more connected to the world than you did before. No one really believes it's worth it. And as the years pass, most of them will tell you it's time to come home. Secure in the climate of their birth, in meeting up with family for a cup of tea, in ferrying children to the schools they attended, and in complaining about foreigners buying up the real estate, the people you left behind don't wonder about the same things you do. You remind yourself that you chose this. You fell in love. You are the one who divided your world into 2. And you make meaning almost feverishly at times. You try to understand why you had to drift so far. What was it that you wanted to claim out here and within yourself? Years ago, when I flew over the Pacific on my fiancé visa, I didn't dream of snakes. I traded a summery July for winter in the southern hemisphere, and after 12 sleepless hours, when the pilot announced our approach over the Coral Sea, I closed my eyes and dreamt of whales. I slipped from the plane and fell towards water. I saw them, 2 long shadows. I got closer, they grew defined. A pair of slender whales glided and rolled in the sea. White bellies bright as the moon, flukes turning in the current. Minkies, I knew what they were. Lucid, I was in the dream, but not of it. What did it mean? Startled by the rattle of the breakfast cart, I opened my eyes. I couldn't miss that line. What did it mean? It felt more real than the plane seat. I looked out the window where the morning lit the coral sea, and were there minkies down there? I had no idea. It was July 2000. I had left Boston to get married in Queensland. This was all new territory for me. 10 years later, I was nursing my newborn son and watching the news when I remembered the dream. A story reported that every July, minke whales gather along the Great Barrier Reef, and Dr. Alistair Birtles, a British-born Oxford grad at James Cook University, observed that the whales arrive by the dozens to flirt and feed and calve only for those weeks. The whales also approach divers, the only time and place where they do, before departing again for open ocean. Some minkies bear harpoon scars, indicating nasty human encounters. But nothing hinders their curiosity for the people who visit. Tourists flock to lose themselves before the minkies, and they emerge from their dive, giggling like children, their faces aglow with something cosmic.
Hi, I'm Andrew, and I'm going to read you a poem from the anthology, and maybe one paragraph of a short story. This poem was in my second collection, and it features my muse, Isabella Rossellini. I was privileged to meet and be photographed with Isabella Rossellini a few years ago when she did a show at QPAC, and she signed a book for me, and I told her about my secret crush on her, and she still let me have a photo with my arm around her, which is on Facebook. So this is Hooks. Isabella Rossellini has taken my arm and is leading me through the Museum of Anthropology. Like celluloid, she can be a fine distraction from the serious exhibits put out to remind me of the dark fruit swelling in the valley of history. Sensing my pain, Isabella skirts the rack where the big brass hooks hang. All gloss and gossamer, she flutters around her own framed photograph and draws me like a moth to her story. This picture was taken, whispers Isabella, when I spent a strange day broken down in the desert with Martin Scorsese. The engine stuttered. We drained our Pellegrino. The buzzards circled. We began to quarrel. Over the hills, the tarmac steamed away, relentless to infinity. Sailing boats appeared in the shimmering patches. I saw Robert Duvall surfing, wearing a big hat, badged with crossed swords. In a cloud of dust, down that molten highway, Wim Wenders came, driving an Audi. In the back seat, we breathed sweet relief and drank aquavitae, indulging Wim's whim for still photography. I take a step back, forcing Isabella to recede into the frame. My attention returns to the hooks, allowing the pictures to come in painful flashes. A Polish girl whose mind had broken, labouring in Auschwitz, hanging corpses on those hooks to await incineration. A Jewish ballerina whose survival hung on blue eyes, blonde hair, and a private arrangement to dance for Josef Mengele. And Walter Benjamin, clutching his ticket to America like a shell-shocked angel, blown away by the storm, forfeited his life for want of an exit visa to appease his hunchbacked saboteur at the Franco-Spanish border. Just read one short paragraph from the middle of the short story. I have a Facebook friend who, for some reason or other, likes to refer to me as Hannibal. This is from the story Kindness. Just this short paragraph in the middle of the story regarding one Sarah Stenson. I avoided further contact with her. I hung out with the Germans and the French and avoided the Australian groups for all the social activities. So I managed to keep my guts inside my own abdomen and managed to have a good time by suppressing my conscious wish to disembowel Sarah. But when they served up foie gras at the closing banquet, I couldn't stop myself from imagining grinding up her sweetbreads with garlic and chives in a mortar with a pestle, enjoying them spread with a butter knife on mini crostini.
Michael. No language warning, but I might be singing briefly, so... Yeah, in 1985 I flew to Berlin for my dad's funeral. We migrated to Australia after the war, and he stuck it out here for 12 years, but he had enough by then. He and Mum were ready to break up anyway, so he returned. Well, it was 1962, you know, it was too hot, he reckoned, which still is, and not enough culture, but that was then. Anyway, so I'm there for the funeral, and fortunately we met face to face a few years before that, and reconciled after the usual difficult teenage years. And yeah, so basically I'm there in Berlin for 4 weeks going through his stuff. Okay, it's called Berlin Postscript. I sit in a restaurant after dark, an Italian place you probably knew. Another day of sifting your papers, fast forwarding through your life. Reflections of street light float in the glass, blend with the restaurant's own, the window panes, fluid as water. I'm filled with a lightness, just short of elation. Liberation is in the air. All the elbow room I could reach as if handed the keys to the city, even though it's no longer mine. As if a point ahead of a trial. The old elephant expelled, the use-by date there in his eyes. The food's nothing special, but my wine glass is clean and the service pleasant, efficient. By myself at a window table, half wishing for company, I'm starting to feel expansive, to almost buy someone a drink. When we lived here together, parent and child, you were legislator and judge, mediating the world. I suspect you've taken it all for granted, this power you now enjoy. Tasked without warning with sorting the leftover pieces of your life. 2 weeks gone and 2 weeks remaining. What's love got to do with it? Tina Turner had demanded this morning, all the while knowing the answer. The question that struck me as doubly odd, voiced in a language suddenly foreign. Yet most of the shoppers in that mall would have dipped their toes in English. The mind, as it does, flips from Tina to Mozart. I recall the poster for Amadeus on the back of your wardrobe door. You'd seen it just months before. Something that must be survivor guilt is beginning to gnaw at me. Some kind of remedy is at hand. I raise the glass for us both. Half drunk on one enormous claret, I feel gracious and light as I leave a tip for a dark-haired young waiter. Heading back to the subway, I pass dim-lit shop fronts, their interiors glowing in pearly half-light of inflated displays and people. Windows blaze briefly with passing headlights before they're sucked back into cars. Eyes as foreign as a waiter stare back at me from the glass. I'm just going to read a short poem. It's from the same book I've just completed called Midnight Radio. The poem in the anthology is called Saving the Night. Just to be perverse, I'm going to read another poem. Oh yeah, just by word of introduction. Long ago, in a long lost geological time zone, there were no mobile phones. You have to know this, otherwise this doesn't make any sense. It's called Victoria Street. I think every Australian capital's got at least one Victoria Street. A string of wasps hangs off your front window, in love, I guess, with old houses, clinging to their paper tubes like kids to a mother's skirt. I stand on the landing and ring the bell, tilting at a windmill of silence, listening out for clues. The sound goes looking for answers, but the only answer is sound. It bounces off the wall like laughter, then falls silent as your phone. A door that hasn't moved in the least is shutting itself in my face. This pilgrim is on the wrong bus. I turn to catch myself checking the paintwork like an agent pricing a sale. Tomorrow you'll phone, explain it away. Even the wasps know you'll be back and are working overtime. Thank you.
Hello everybody, I'm Janet Reid and I write for children. This is not a children's book of course, but my story is more YA. This story, Mr Fogarty is an ancient English school teacher and he's telling the class the importance of punctuation, but when he begins to fade, Joey's imagination runs away, or does it? Mr Fogarty was leaning against the windows at the far side of the room, glaring at the sun behind him. He was telling us why to use a comma, just so that we wouldn't eat our grannies. As he waved his arms about, there was a flicker, like the interference on an old TV. Then, just around the edges, he began to fade. I blinked, glanced about me. The faces in the classroom dull with boredom as the old teacher continued his rant about the importance of punctuation. Then he moved and came back into focus. As he did, he pushed his fist against his chest as though he was saluting somebody in some ancient time. And then he moved on and blurred again. I jumped and my chair clattered to the floor. "Is there a problem, Joey?" Mr. Fogarty asked me. I blinked. Mr. Fogarty was clear again. I think an ant bit me." Everyone laughed. Mr. Fogarty glared at me. "Such imagination. Pity you wouldn't put it to good use. See me at lunchtime." Mr. Fogarty had no sense of humour. Hands clamped behind his back, he paced up and down the side of the room, flickering as he went. I swear I could almost see through him at times. I looked around, but everybody was either doodling in their English books or texting under their desks. My eyes met Homer's. He smirked. He gave me a nod. I turned back to focus on Mr. Fogarty when I could. When the lunch bell rang, Mr. Fogarty stopped his pacing and moved to his desk. He was back now, thank goodness. I hadn't been looking forward to staying behind with half a teacher. As Homer lumbered past, pushing his way to the door with all the other boys, he rolled his eyes towards me, towards the front of the room, and said, "I don't think we'll see too much of him this afternoon," and he left the room. I stood up to follow him, but Mr. Fogarty stepped in front of me. He waited until all the boys had left, and as he turned back to me, he lurched sideways. "You have to help me," he said, his voice a hoarse whisper. Once again, he pressed his hand to his chest. "It was the cake," he croaked. "Grimshaw's cake." "Grimshaw? Is Grimshaw the principal?" I frowned. "Don't believe me, do you?" said Mr. Fogarty. "Well, let me tell you, she's wanted me gone for a long time, she has. I'd say she's done this on purpose." "But was he saying Miss Grimshaw poisoned him with cake?" I'm not sure," I stammered. "I liked Miss Grimshaw. Everyone did. She let us off detention early. Bought us ice cream when we won at sports. She wouldn't poison someone, would she?" Mr. Fogarty leaned forward, grabbed my shirt and pulled me close, so close until our noses we were nose to nose. "Joey, you have to get Even this close it was difficult to make out his words, though I could make out plenty of nose hair.
Hi folks, I'm Barry Levy, and as you know I have exactly 5 minutes, otherwise David P. So here goes the recipe. Screw. It seemed whenever you wanted to get a special number these days, you had to wait forever, listening silently to that highly irritating meep of the engaged tone, or to some highly trained artificial voice that told you nothing and kept you hanging forever. She walked away from the phone to the dark-stained dining room table where he was sitting tapping his feet and looking at the inner workings of an old portable cassette player he swore he could put back into running order. He shouldn't have retired so early, she thought, but then they had exerted some pressure. But he was too young these days, 61. A person needed to be about, doing things. Some men were just reaching the pinnacle of their careers at that age. He was restless, she could see. It had only been a year and already he was agitated. He swore he would have enough to do for the next 20 years and more. But there he was, fidgeting, worried looking, battling with only half a heart to fix that old cassette player when he had a perfectly usable CD player, an iPod he could take everywhere, even if he wasn't exactly about to be going jogging with it. Still, it was something to do, Ed thought. Like restoring an old car, no one saw harm in that. So why this? But the truth was he was tired. tired of looking at this old goddamn machine, tired of the rain that had been pouring down in bucket loads for the past week, tired of her nagging, changing, flagging body. He just could not admit it to her. If only retirement came when you were young and worked when you were old and tired. The world was upside down, that he knew for sure now. He wanted to get out into the yard, in amongst the passion fruit vines he had been growing for years, in amongst the vegetable garden he had only recently redug, resoiled, replanted, refertilized. It was something to do, watch things grow. At moments you even lost yourself in it, and it was like being back in the office again, forgetful of everything, wife, family, children, except you were outside in the garden, and it was pleasant. It was also your own time, no pressure from above or the sides, no deadlines, and that he had to sign was hell of a nice. No one leaning over your shoulder, no one crossing and recrossing your T's, never mind straightening your I's, not to mention the commas. But it didn't last long, that feeling, life-free, a bit like the passion fruit vines. They grew slowly at first, and then with mysterious force, they were pulled upwards like there was no tomorrow. And then they gave fruit, and then the fruit was gone, and then the old leaves died off, and someone had to clean up. He laughed, cynically to himself. It was nearly 11. You saw her looking around at the old silver wall clock in the kitchen. She'd make tea now. He'd enjoy that. Maybe he should offer. Yes, she'd love a cup, she smiled broadly, made by him, for a change. Strong and hot, please, she said in case he'd forgotten. And then forced herself up to go to the phone again to try that free dial-a-dish number that had been offered in the local paper. It sounded scrumptious. This week's offer an easy-to-make curry vegetable pie. It would be good for him, better than those oily toasted cheese sandwiches and chips he ate too many of when he was at work. The vegetables would give him more go, less bulk, that you could see growing around him like a rugby ball. She dialed, or rather poked her right index finger at the rubber button she found so easy to make a mistake with, her baby finger daintily flicking upwards as though drinking her cup of tea. One by one she listened to the short beep sounds that told her she had hit her target, though not necessarily the right ones. Then she stared at the phone, appreciating the handheld two-phone set that came as a gift from their daughter. But still she could not get over the fact it was a bright canary yellow, as if phones should stand out like pop art. But she could say nothing. That was Freya, always so precocious, always striving to be different, always putting them under pressure to do things that at their age they did not think they had to learn about, or more about, or have the kind of interest Freya insisted they should have, like sex. She drove them crazy about sex. Once at a dinner party, even making them and all the other guests follow her and her husband into their bedroom, and then proudly showing off the new mirrors they'd installed in the ceiling. Christ, it made one shudder. What happened in your bedroom was your business, between you and your husband. And they'd done just fine till now. Why would they even want to try anything new? But whatever. She should take the phone back soon, change it for something more neutral, a black or grey. You couldn't live with a yellow canary in your hands like that. Oops. A voice on the other side. Heck. She readied her pen, hearing a low voice starting with the salads. Big, fat, juicy cucumbers. Fill your cup, fill it up with your long, big, long, fat, luscious cuke. Oh my God. Putting the phone away but bringing it straight back. I want to touch it, eat it, slide up and down it. I lift my thighs and rub its right pulsating head against my tight, wide open. I am so hot and hungry for it. Peel the stiff head back, fill me up, Lord. Listening on, telling herself she did not have to. Okay.
Let's have a round of applause for all of our readers. last contributor to just off message, I just wanted to introduce the segments that I've got, which are actually quite short. The story starts with Time Lord Dreaming, which is available for you to have a look at. I'll just read the description because it says it so much better than I could off the cuff. You wake in the middle of the night with a terrible pain radiating from your lower side up to your chest. An ambulance is called and you're rationing ever-increasing doses of morphine on your way to the hospital. In the EW, a heart attack is ruled out, but the mystery intensifies until a CT scan reveals the truth. You, in this case, was the author, who, with the kindness of a Doctor Who understudy and other medical staff at the Modern Hospital, Brisbane, survived an urgent operation and had many medicated days to reflect on an often surreal experience. Time Lord Dreaming uses tweetums, which is a term that I've coined, microtext with internet callouts to recreate one man's journey through the parallel universes of patient and personal identity. If you've ever been hospitalized, you'll find much that is familiar and not always comfortable here. So with Time Lord Dreaming, I basically set up a Facebook site that hopefully continues people's interest in the story. And it kind of couples medical happenings, events that are happening in everyday life that I reference, but also connections with the Doctor Who series. And what I started to do recently was kind of a fanzine sort of experiment where I would take notes during a Doctor Who program and then make those into, again, short kind of microtext presentations. So that's what is called a Doctor Who remix in the anthology. The Doctor Falls. Somebody broke our barn, casting fun from cruelty. Who was that just now? As your mirror burns, denying death yet again, as my kindness ends. To hug hurts my heart. Positive denials disguise my conversation's rust. And the impossible cyber smile. World enough and time. Your bacon sandwich at a mommy and daddy, the pain will disguise its taste as humans pop like balloons while avoiding black holes with rusty worlds before Cybermen awake in 2 days for you 2 generations for their spaceship. The eater of light. They will keep eating until no planets are left or stars to navigate by, unless we can lure the beasts into a portal for Vestal virgins. Damp crows in a huff at sunrise as my patience shatters. The trouble with hope is resisting its music. Empress of Mars. We are surrounded by noisy males who think the British Empire is still burning bright, even in the ice of Mars. What does the pink thing say? Victorians dispersed for colonies, out of reach, pristine. Alive the man. Playing with history, the monks tease open their truths, transmit with statues on every corner, encircling our stagnation. Nice slaves don't haggle over the future of our targeted planet, kindness in the eye of a virtual storm. The pyramid at the end of the world. Every trap you walk into is a chance to learn where the arrow points. Power needs consent, so fake love is slavery, hacking into sex. Watch the doomsday clock tick away the pyramid that integrates our fear. Being smart is not giving away your planet for unconditional sight. And finally, extremists without hope. Our scripts unfold to the chance of veritas, blood drops to portals. without witness. Mysterious lights outsmart our shining corners, book cages broken without reward. The shadows test us, blind in our computer game, synapse to pixel. Hashtag unreal. Thank you.